Hello, service learning students. We made it. 8 weeks of extremely hard work. Here we are at the end of the course, and I just wanted to post one last message to you all to give you kind of a status update on the final projects and grades, and just to give you a congrats. I was doing a little bit of statistical analysis here of the course, and in our 8 weeks, we have posted over 500 messages to forums. You know you've done 3 major writing projects, some of them with a considerable amount of writing, as you're well aware of, and you've read 2 pretty thick books over the course of the summer, and responded to the books through some fairly detailed and in-depth conversation and discussion, and you've worked through our service learning workbook diligently. You took quizzes, and you, more importantly, you went out and did at least 15 hours, and some of you did considerably more on your own, found community partners, found projects to work on. And I can't tell you how impressed I am with the work that we've done over this course of the semester. It's really been, and I'm not joking here, it's been inspirational, because we have not taught this course online before. We've had some good success here on campus, but there was quite a bit of nervousness on my part about managing all these projects from afar. And I appreciate very much your diligent work in being sort of the inaugural class of this online version, and much of what I've learned from teaching the course in this method this summer we'll take forward, and we'll apply it towards future online courses, online service learning courses, and I think you've proven that it can be done, and that to me is very satisfying. And before I get into some practical points about the what to expect here before I post grades tomorrow at noon, I did want to just carry on this theme a little bit by going to our syllabus and patting you on the backs, patting ourselves on the backs a little bit for this hard work in this FYI, this first year inquiry type course. I think it's important that we applaud ourselves and remind ourselves of why we're doing this type of course in the first place. And that is expressed in the outcome in the syllabus. Here you see I'm in our syllabus for the course, and this is where we began 8 weeks ago. And here is the outcome, first year inquiry. Student learning outcomes. Students will describe and practice skills involved in critical inquiry and creative problem solving through interdisciplinary, collaborative engagement of a specific issue or theme. So I hope here at the end, if you've survived and now you get to take a bit of a break from your studies, I know that it's been a lot of work and it's been a challenging course, but we are really intent on addressing those inquiry elements in the course. As a member of the faculty at Sharon State College that was very much involved in the rethinking of how we approach our general education program, and as the faculty coordinator for Essential Studies at CSC currently, I spent a lot of time reviewing and thinking about these first year inquiry courses, and this is a trend nationwide where we're trying to prepare our students coming in for 4 years of college. We really want to break down the barriers and have our students think in a more sort of broad way and an open-ended way, and as you can see from the outcome here, to really work on critical thinking, inquiry, problem solving, thinking on your feet. These are the things we're being told from our employers out there in the real world after college, and from national studies, that we're not always doing the best job in college. And so I hope you appreciate at the end of the day, after all this work that you've done, it's been done to help you as college students and to prepare you more effectively for your life as a college student at Sharon State College, where we believe in these principles of critical thinking, inquiry-guided learning, problem solving, interdisciplinary. That's why we read the novels. That's why we looked at a lot of different issues in this class. And collaboration, and all these things that we're being told really need to be stressed more for college graduates these days. And I hope that you recognize that it brings value to your learning at Sharon State College and your preparation for other coursework, but also that it brings value to your degree because your classmates are going through similar sort of training, so that it makes hopefully CSC graduates more prepared for the real world, so to speak, and it has application in your personal and your professional lives beyond the course. so that by the end of the day, hopefully this civic engagement, this service learning will be something that takes root, and as a graduate you will go forward as a CSC graduate, you will proudly serve your communities, and hopefully we've helped to foster some of that in this course. It's a really important thing that the college believes in, and more importantly it's something I really personally believe in. If we're going to go to college, let's leave something behind, you know. So now let me just conclude by talking about sort of what's left on the docket here. You all have done your work and I'm trying to do my work. So I've gone through the presentation forum that everybody posted to, and I haven't assigned points to that yet, but here are some general observations. I won't write a lot of comments on these final grades since we're at the end of the semester. You can't really take my comments and change anything or you know, improve your performance in the forum. It's done. So what we're doing now is really what we call summative assessment. So we're just trying to sort of add up the points and see how you did. And I think that the presentation, the forum presentation, was inspirational in a lot of ways. I hope you enjoyed being able to look at each other's projects, and I really like the resourcefulness of the various approaches that many of you took. We had a blog created, a website created, a Prezi created, a PowerPoint created. A couple of you put images on Microsoft Word documents and submitted them. A couple of you embedded images in the actual posts, and you wrote about your projects, and it went a long ways towards what I was hoping to replicate. And not quite 100% able to replicate what we do in class when the students give a presentation. And the best part about that presentation when we do it in class is the Q&A that follows, and the students talk about each other's projects and we're inspired by each other's projects. And I hope the inspiration is there, because believe me, there were some very inspirational projects that were developed this semester, but we didn't get a lot of real great Q&A at the end of the forum as I had hoped to, and so I'm being very lenient on that. I'm not taking a bunch of points off for that, but that will be something in future courses that I'll try and figure out a way to sustain a little bit more. Once you've presented your projects, hopefully we can have a conversation about what worked and didn't work, and a lot of people left questions for each other about their projects, and some of those just you didn't have time to sort of respond or answer those, which is understandable. So that was the final presentation forum. Everybody who is currently active in the course presented, so no deficiencies there. Like I said, I'll get those points updated today. And then the final Friday forum on the Grapes of Wrath, which was a real big chunk of reading, and we still had 10 of you post to that forum. I was really surprised. So you either really enjoyed the Grapes of Wrath or you really want some additional extra credit points, but I'm more than happy to give you the extra credit points for that effort and sticking with that book. It's a really interesting book. It's an important book in the American literary canon. I'm an English professor, so I have some bias here, but I think that it brings another perspective to our course. Now, before discussing your final reports, which is the last thing I want to sort of touch base on here, I wanted to just review and again offer some applause to you, some kudos for rising to some of the challenges I know that you confronted this summer. The summer schedule makes it a little bit tricky for finding service partners, as many of you noted, and for those of you who are working, it's hard sometimes to do service and also have a full-time job, obviously. So the summer presents specific challenges. So a course like this is not going to work for everybody if they're fully, you know, many of you were working full-time jobs and were still able to put together the service hours on the weekend or an evening hour. So you worked around that. I know that was a challenge, and I appreciate your efforts there. The compressed schedule for many of you was tricky to keep up with the readings and the assignments. You're right, it does work much better when you have a 16-week window to work on these things, and you have especially more time to develop the service project and complete the service hours. That said, I was amazed at how well so many of you came through on the service project. Community partners, some of you struggled to find community partners, and that's something that on campus we can meet and we can have a discussion in my office and we can contact people, and it's a little bit trickier when we're far-flung and online, but I thought we overcame many of those challenges quite well. And finally, from the FYI perspective, this is a course that is supposed to really emphasize research and writing as well as inquiry and service. And we didn't have as much time face-to-face to work on APA formatting, research writing, report writing, doing library level research. You were kind of left on your own on that. And again, impressively, most of you answered the call there. So good job overcoming many of those challenges. Now, my final point here is about the final report. So this is to be the culmination of the course, and I'm proud and I'm impressed with what we've been able to put together. Think about this. We had projects from coast to coast. We had a project in the Carolinas, we had a project in the Bay Area, San Francisco, we had a project in San Antonio, and we had projects a little bit closer to our region, all over the place. Cleanup projects, beautification, taking care of homelessness, the mentally challenged, dealing with food insecurity and hunger and poverty issues, dealing with abuse and social issues, crisis management, dealing even with some of the current issues that are going on in our inner cities with violence and unrest, mentoring, physical activity, a project dealing with website development and publicity, and many of you also plan these appreciation dinners or rewards type things. It's really impressive. A wide variety of projects that you all obviously had to develop on your own, and you came through in spades. Now the reporting is going to go like this. If you followed I've gone through all the reports and they've all been successfully submitted, and I will now be going through and assessing the points with Turnitin. And I just wanted to say a couple of things about this in regards to the final assessment of the course. So what we'll do with the Turnitin, with the final report, is I will use the 6 traits rubric, or I'm sorry, not the 6 traits, the value writing rubric that we've been using in the course. And as you know, it's going to emphasize context and purpose, content development, the genre and disciplinary convention. So that's the APA, and whether you're doing clear transitions and whether your paper is formatted. Sources and evidence, did you include some of those outside sources that I asked for? Control and syntax, mechanics, sort of surface errors. So in the Turnitin report here at the end, I won't write a lot of comments on your reports, but I will highlight certain areas that are mostly for me, so as I go through and assess, I can make sure that I'm doing it properly on the rubric. Again, more of the summative grading, but I did want to say a few things about just in general to the class. The context and purpose for writing this final report was really to broadcast to a public audience in kind of a report fashion what you were trying to accomplish in your service, what you thought the community need was, what you wound up doing. So there's a descriptive element. So if you do a good job describing and you have lots of details and you've answered the assignment requirements from the paper handout, you should do well on that, and you should get good points on that. And content development is the same area here. That's where you provide lots of specific examples to illustrate your points. And so these are going to be the 2 most important areas in your final grade here at the end of the course. And we do want to see sort of development from the beginning to the end of the course, that we've made some progress in how we sort of report and speak to a public audience about what we did. One of the things that's going to be important for the context and purpose of writing and the content is how well you did with the final reflection, this sort of deep reflection that was prompted from your book, how well you were able to demonstrate that you've learned something, what you have learned, and what you're going to do to carry forward these lessons. That's part of the inquiry-driven element of the course. So as long as you answered those parts of the handout as fully as possible, used specific examples, and showed some evidence of deep reflection for a 100 level first year inquiry course, you should be doing pretty well on those final reports. They look mostly complete. Some of you had less material in yours and some of you had much more. That's going to have a bearing, but overall I would have to say the reports look quite good. Great job. I'm taking a cue from the last couple chapters in your book. Where do we go from here? Looking back, looking forward. And I especially like this analogy of start anywhere, follow it everywhere. I hope that this taste of service that you've had this summer and the civic engagement will help you to think about, even in little ways, how you can be engaged and committed to your communities, and that you will start here and follow it everywhere. And again, it's been a pleasure working with you all this summer. Great job. Have a great remainder of the summer.